Well, I am in one of the coolest places I've ever been in right now. We are at a Land Cruiser museum looking at a bunch of old Land Cruisers. So if you're into Toyotas or old cool cars, you're gonna like this video. Look at this. This is amazing. It's just a shelf full of doors. It's just a bunch of doors. So this is the coolest thing you will ever see. This Land Cruiser right here is the only car in the world, like the entire world, the only car that has been on every single continent on this planet, even Antarctica. It's amazing, like ridiculously amazing.
So he sat in here.
Yeah, the operator.
Cranked that.
Right.
And came down through.
Yeah, and you can see that window right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's so neat.
Is that crazy?
Ugliness. This one here is, it doesn't really look like much, but it's an extremely significant vehicle. It was sold new in Canada in 1978. Greg acquired it from the guy that bought it new. It has 18,000 kilometers on it, which is roughly 11,000 miles, with the exception of the front shock absorbers and the battery. This truck is 100% totally original, including the tires and the gray oil filter on the engine that was discontinued in like 1978. They changed the color. This has 878/15 Dunlop Snow Cruiser tires on it, which was the original tire. You open up the interior when Greg talks about the smell. This one probably really gets you excited.
Oh, yeah.
And the paint is original. Everything is original. It's got a few little nicks and dings in it, little
They just
parking lot
add to the
kind of
beauty.
stuff.
All the little patina
This
marks.
has a beautiful 8-track player.
It has an 8-track.
Sweet.
And this is 1978 right here.
So this is when you can drive around the streets, then no problem.
Oh, absolutely.
This place is amazing. It's got a lot of cool cars, a lot of fun things to see.
Hello, people of the world. How are y'all doing?
You better be doing good.
It's a rhetorical question.
Put a smile on your face. No, they gotta be doing good. They need smiles.
Well, I love Greg Miller. He's an amazing person. He has the largest. I don't know. I'm not fact-based, but he has a lot of Land Cruisers here. They're amazing, from Japan, the JDP. And I'm excited to see y'all. Subscribe to this man. He is amazing. Love y'all.
He's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaden.
This is a great place to be. Awesome, awesome cars. I'm so excited. If you can't tell, there's a huge smile on my face from looking at all these cool cars.
Between 6 inches and 9 feet thick, and it's floating and it's drifting, and you have pressure ridges where ice sheets collide and create like a big boulder field of ice, and then you have open leads where when they shift, there's water in between. And then under that water is 10,000 feet of water, or under the ice is that much water. So if you fall through, it's a long, but in Antarctica, there's a continent, and it's basically like a big contact lens of ice, and the ice is 2 miles thick at some points. It goes right, it flows into the ocean on the sides, but then you get up onto the plateau, and it's 2 miles thick, and the scientists estimate that if the ice ever melted away completely, the whole tectonic plate that holds the mountains would rise 50 to 80 feet. It would just, the whole elevation would go because the weight of that ice pushing down on it. And so there's mountains under this ice, and the ice is always accumulating, and it wants to slide downhill. So when it's on a mountain, it starts to go like this, and it develops crevasses because it doesn't slide down cleanly, kind of comes apart. And those crevasses are really dangerous. And so when you're driving, you really can't tell where they're there. And in fact, as we were researching our journey, we read a story about some Russians that were driving snowcats. And the first snowcat was driving, no problem. Second snowcat, no problem. The third snowcat went right into a crevasse, and it's because the ice, or the snow ice, had sort of filled the crevasse, and it was sturdy enough to hold the weight, but then the vibration broke it loose. And these guys went down in there and basically froze to death before their comrades could get them out. And so we obviously didn't want that to happen. So we connected with this company that built the truck. It's called Arctic Trucks. They're out of Reykjavik, Iceland. And they spent months with this boom that comes out off the front of the truck on these two big telescopic rods that go out about 20 feet. And they have a sonar device that Bluetooths an image that looks a lot like ultrasound, an ultrasound. And there's a monitor on the dash, and this was like 5 years ago, so technology's probably improved since then, but maybe even 8 years ago. But they would, when they'd see a crevasse, they'd back up and they'd keep taking another route until they could clear cleanly. And then they mapped these GPS tracks all the way across Antarctica. And they did it for a race. There was some company that was trying to improve their product, and so they hired Arctic Trucks to do it. But the deal was Arctic Trucks retained the intellectual property of the route. So then when we connected with Arctic Trucks to build the truck, they made that route available for us. And in fact, one of their people went with us in an Arctic truck. It was a 6x6 with my 4x4.
Cool.
And so it was me and a cameraman in my truck, and Scott Brady, who went on all the expedition with me, and Gisley from Arctic Trucks in that vehicle, and the four of us just made our way across. So when we got to the other side, you're not going to believe this, but the ice was probably 1,000 feet thick at that point, where it came off the rock and met the ocean underneath, but you'd never know it because it went for 50 miles out to sea before it started breaking. So you knew 1,000 feet below, the rock ended and there was water under this part, and somebody put a 4x4 post in right there where they evidently determined that the rock ended and the ocean started.
Yeah.
And so we drove around that 4x4 post, we all signed it, and I put an E7 pin right in the top of it,
Nice.
and then we turned around and drove back.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's 3,700 miles at an average speed of 18 miles an hour. It was brutal.
$150 a gallon.
2 miles.
You guys slept in the trucks?
Yeah, we slept in tents. There's actually, if you guys want to learn more about it, you can go to expeditions7.com, and we did a little vignette for each continent. The idea was to sleep in tents, but for me, I had a hard time sleeping because it was always light. The sun, if you stood in one place, you could tell what time it was by where the sun was. It would be 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and the sun just did this the whole time. And so it never got dark, and I tried to sleep with the siesta mask and the whole bit, and I couldn't. So I wound up taking my sleeping bag and draping it over the roll bar inside to try and get it dark enough. But then I'm sleeping, like I'd sleep the lower half of my body for 20 minutes, and then the upper half of my body. I couldn't sleep, US tonight. I've had conversations with all of you almost, and the fact is, I didn't know that I was going to be able to import these until maybe 2 days before we got back into the U.S. So we're in northern Mexico, coming up Baja, before I got the notice from my attorney that, hey, EPA signed off, DOT signed off, congratulations, you'll be able to bring them in legally. And so I had a lot of time during my driving to reflect on these cars. And what am I going to do with the cars? One option was to send them all back to their country of origin, and I have Expedition 7 offices in Canada, Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand, because those are all places where I bought and registered these cars. So I could send them all back and just have a cool fleet on standby if I ever go to New Zealand or Australia. But that's not very practical. I could sneak them into the country, which, in my position, if I got caught doing that, it would not
Jeopardize
end well.
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a no-no. And the third was to sell them. And really, before I got word of that I was going to be able to bring them in, I was at peace with selling them, because what I realized was that the vehicles had served their purpose. They had got me around the world They had facilitated adventure and friendship and learning. And if I had to part with them now, that was really okay. It would be unfortunate, but it was okay. I was at peace with it. So to be able then to get them in here is just kind of the icing on the cake, to be able to share them with you and tell the story. But the lesson that I took away from that was that the vehicle is a conduit to experiences. And through the experience flows the lessons, the relationships, the knowledge, the memories. And so that's really the magic of vehicles.